They're cute, they're cuddly, they're playful, and no one wants to think about where they come from. And that's what this bill is about. House Bill 2470 would cap the number of breeding dogs in mass breeding facilities at 50 and require basic humane care standards, including provisions that dogs be allowed out of their cages daily and be kept in clean, well-ventilated facilities. This bill will not affect responsible breeders. In the past 2 years, colleagues, 6 notorious puppy mills in Oregon were investigated and shut down by law enforcement authorities, the most recent one just last month. In all 6 cases, dozens or sometimes hundreds of dogs were discovered living in filthy, crowded, and inhumane conditions. Puppy mills are breeding facilities that mass produce puppies for sale in pet stores, over the internet, and directly to the public. Dogs are stacked in filthy wire cages or kennels, often with little veterinary care or human interaction. And they're not treated like pets, but like cash crops. Mother dogs are constantly bred and kept in continuous confinement. They are destroyed or discarded when they can no longer churn out puppies. In Oregon, we're more likely to find mini mills operating out of basements, sheds, or garages, as opposed to the larger scale operations with outdoor cages. Although smaller in scale, these mini mill conditions can be equally as cruel. Other states, including Louisiana, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, have passed laws to address these problems, and Washington's governor just signed a bill that imposes a 50 breeding dog cap, just like this bill. Oregon should move quickly and decisively to do the same. Thankfully, puppy mills have received increased media attention lately, exposing the reality of this shameful industry to a vast audience. The issue is gaining momentum, and it's time for our legislature to take action. Colleagues, I'd just briefly like to explain the 4 provisions of this bill. First, it restricts dog breeding operations to 50 sexually intact dogs over 2 years of age, kept primarily for the purpose of reproduction. By capping the size of these mass breeding operations, this legislation will enable humane investigators and law enforcement to more effectively and efficiently deal with complaints about dogs living in squalor and receiving inadequate care. This is why Oregon Animal Control Council, representing animal control officers and humane agents from throughout Oregon, has endorsed House Bill 2470 and spoke forcefully in favor of the bill. It's also why animal control officers and prosecutors have testified to the legislature that a cap is absolutely necessary to investigate these facilities and take necessary action to protect animals in facilities that do not comply. It establishes modest, common-sense minimum care standards so that dogs are provided with a minimum amount of space and exercise. Simply put, colleagues, the bill requires that dogs be allowed to stand up, turn around, and lie down in their enclosure. It also requires that dogs be given at least 1 hour of exercise outside of their cages every day. So 1 hour means that for the other 23 hours a day, they are in these cages, and that's their life. It requires pet breeders and dealers to provide consumers with information regarding a dog's place of origin, history, registration information, and any medical conditions or treatment. And finally, it provides buyers with specific legal rights if they purchase a puppy that has medical, congenital, or hereditary conditions at the time of sale. Breeding dogs in puppy mills are forced to live a life devoid of the things that dogs need: exercise, clean living space, medical care, and the love and attention of people. That's why a broad coalition of groups and individuals have spoken in favor of House Bill 2470, including the Oregon Humane Society, Oregon Animal Control Council, veterinarians, dog breeders, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, and individuals who live with dogs that originated at puppy mills. In discussion with breeders, it's become clear that few, if any, reputable breeders in Oregon keep more than 50 breeding dogs. This means that only puppy mill operators, the intended targets of this legislation, will be affected. And I just want to say one more thing about the importance of a cap, because it's much more complicated when you're dealing with 200 dogs rather than 50 to 75 dogs. A cap in the number of breeding dogs is essential to protecting the welfare of dogs, because in states that have minimum care standards but no cap, enforcement is virtually impossible. A cap is the critical enforcement mechanism to regulate puppy mills. Without it, it will be difficult, if not impossible, for law enforcement to have cause to investigate. So setting a cap will allow law enforcement to investigate the condition of these operations and take preventative action before they turn into criminal neglect, which end up taking vast amounts of resources to address. Essentially, better laws and capping the number of breeding dogs a person can have will prevent the kind of suffering